London. 1957, a talent agency on Regent Street, marble floors, expensive suits, and a young Scotsman standing in the lobby with calloused hands and a jaw like granite. The agent doesn't even stand up. He looks at the kid across the desk, looks him up and down, and says it, slowly, deliberately. With that accent, that face, "Son, you'll never work again." The young man says nothing. He picks up his coat. He walks out the door. 4 years later, that same agent is watching a cinema screen, jaw open, along with 800 million other people on this planet. The man on screen adjusts his cufflinks, looks straight into the camera, and says 7 words that will echo forever. Bond, James Bond. How does a man rejected by every room he walks into end up owning every screen on Earth? Let's find out. But that wasn't even the beginning. The real story starts in the Fountain Bridge slum of Edinburgh, 1930, a tenement flat, no heating, shared bathrooms, cracked walls. Thomas Sean Connery is born into a family with nothing. His father works in a rubber factory. His mother cleans houses. There is no safety net. There is no plan B. At 13, he quits school. Not because he wants to, because the family needs money. He delivers milk before dawn in the Scottish cold. Bottles clinking, breath visible in the freezing air. 6 days a week. Then he polishes coffins for extra shillings. Think about that. A teenage boy, hands on wood, thinking about the dead while the living barely notice him. He joins the Royal Navy at 16. Finally, a way out. A uniform, structure, purpose. He serves. He trains. He believes this is his life now. Then his stomach ulcers get so bad they discharge him. 3 years in. Just like that. Out. He's back in Edinburgh, 18 years old. No school, no navy, no prospects. Just a body built like a statue and a mind sharp enough to cut glass. But here's the thing. When you have nothing to lose, you stop being afraid. He starts lifting weights. Obsessively. Not for vanity. For control. For the one thing poverty can't take from you. Your body. By 1953, he's built like a Roman sculpture. Someone tells him about the Mr. Universe pageant in London. He scrapes together the fare. He goes. He doesn't win. But third place, at 23 years old. A milkman's son standing on a stage in London. Backstage, a man approaches him. A dancer and choreographer from the South Pacific musical running in the West End. He tells Connery something nobody has ever told him. "You move like a panther. Have you ever considered acting?" Connery looks at him, says nothing for a moment, then, "No, but I'm considering it now." He gets a chorus role. He stands at the back. He watches. He learns. He reads Shakespeare at night in a tiny rented room, out loud, alone, working on an accent that everyone told him was a death sentence. Nobody gives him a shortcut. He doesn't ask for one. Small TV roles come in, BBC productions. He's raw. Unpolished, but every director who works with him notices the same thing. He doesn't perform, he inhabits. But the doors keep closing. One casting director tells him he's too working class. Another says his accent will never translate. Another laughs him out of a meeting. Then the agent on Regent Street delivers that cold, deliberate sentence. "You'll never work again." He walks out. He doesn't slam the door. He doesn't argue. He just leaves. And that restraint. That refusal to beg for validation from people who aren't worth impressing. That is the thing that will define him. He keeps working. Theater, TV, small film parts. He studies movement, vocal projection, stillness. He learns that the most powerful thing a man can do on screen is nothing. Just exist. Fully, without apology. 1961. Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman are producing the first James Bond film for United Artists. They've seen every polished actor in London. Cary Grant, David Niven, Rex Harrison, all pass. Their casting director brings in this rough-edged Scot. The producers are skeptical. Ian Fleming thinks Bond should be a refined English gentleman. Eton, Oxford, old money. Connery walks in wearing a cheap suit that doesn't quite fit. He sits down. He doesn't smile. He doesn't perform. He just looks at them the way a man looks at people who don't yet understand what they're dealing with. They ask him to do a screen test. He refuses. "I don't do screen tests." The room goes quiet. Producers don't get told no. Not like this, not with that calm. He stands. He thanks them for their time. He walks out. and here is the moment. Broccoli and his wife Dana watch from the window. The stride, the shoulders, the way the entire pavement seems to belong to him. Dana turns to her husband. She says, "That's Bond. That's him." They call him back. They offer him the role. No screen test, no compromise. October 1962. The premiere of Dr. Number London. The critics are nervous. Ian Fleming is still publicly skeptical. He called Connery an overgrown stuntman in private, a bruiser, not his Bond. Then the film plays. And that scene, the casino, the cigarette, the turn, the line. Bond, James Bond. The audience doesn't just watch. They feel something shift. This isn't drawing room elegance. This is something raw, more dangerous, more real. The film makes $59 million on a $1 million budget. Ian Fleming quietly rewrites the Bond novels. He gives James Bond Scottish roots, a Scottish father. He never publicly admits why, but everyone knows. But wait, here's where it gets even more extraordinary. At the peak of Bond mania, when he is the most famous man on the planet, Connery walks away. He leaves Bond after You Only Live Twice in 1967. Not for money, not for a better offer, because he refuses to be trapped. He has watched the studios get rich while he fights for basic creative respect. He has watched executives treat him like a product, a franchise asset, not a man. He walks. The press calls him crazy. The studio calls it career suicide. He doesn't respond. He just keeps working. Different roles, different challenges. A Spanish soldier in The Man Who Would Be King. A medieval monk in The Name of the Rose. He reinvents himself every decade while everyone else stays in their lane. He doesn't chase relevance. He builds it. 1988. Sean Connery is 57 years old. Hollywood has written off older actors for decades. You peak at 35, they say. After that, you're a footnote. He walks onto the Academy Awards stage. Best Supporting Actor, The Untouchables, Jim Malone, the Irish cop who taught Elliot Ness what it means to go all the way. The room rises, not polite applause, a standing ovation. For a man who spent 30 years refusing to fit their mold. He holds the Oscar. He doesn't cry. He doesn't thank everyone he's ever met. He smiles. The quiet smile of a man who was told he'd never work again. Then, in 1999, People magazine names him Sexiest Man of the Century, not the year, the century. Sean Connery is 69 years old, the milkman's son. In his final years, he retreats to the Bahamas. No more press conferences, no more performances, just a man and his family and the ocean. He turns down role after role. He had nothing left to prove. October 31, 2020. Sean Connery passes away in his sleep in Nassau. He is 90 years old. The tributes pour in from every corner of the world, from actors, directors, world leaders, fans who grew up watching him and never forgot what he made them feel. Not invincible, not perfect, just completely, unapologetically real. And somewhere in Edinburgh, in the Fountain Bridge neighborhood where it all began, people leave flowers at the walls of a building that no longer exists, where a boy used to deliver milk before the sun came up. Today, acting coaches study his stillness, his economy of movement, his vocal control. Daniel Craig cites him. Christian Bale cites him. Idris Elba cites him. The Bond franchise has now grossed over $7 billion. Connery appeared in 6 of the original films. His silhouette, his walk, his line, still dominant. Because here's the truth. The agent who said he'd never work again was right about one thing. The Sean Connery who walked into that office in 1957 would never work again. That uncertain, unproven young man with the borrowed shirt and the Edinburgh accent. But the man who walked out? He didn't work, he dominated. Because real power is never given, it is built. In the freezing dark, one bottle at a time, one rejection at a time, one refused screen test at a time. Don't ask for a seat at the table. Walk like the table belongs to you. And when they tell you you'll never work again, remember the Scotsman who turned that sentence into the most spectacular career in cinema history. Pass it on. A black and white photograph from 1962. Sean Connery leans casually against an Aston Martin DB5 outside Pinewood Studios, arms crossed, suit perfectly fitted, looking slightly off camera. The smile of a man who knows exactly who he is. Class is permanent. Grit is forever. If this story moved you, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Drop a comment below. What line from this video will you carry with you? We read every single one.